Hello everybody and welcome back to the show. This is episode number 220 of the All Around Growth podcast. My name is Rob Kaiser and I am your host. This is a show that provides insight and tools to build the life and homestead of your dreams. I'm very excited about today's episode because yesterday we had a little bit of a hiccup, some technical difficulties. So when I publish this today, it will be after I publish yesterday's episode. So today we'll get a bit of a 2-for-1. And yesterday we talked about setting goals and working through a 2022 goal setting worksheet that was linked to in the show notes. And we began talking about financial goals that we're setting. Today we're going to talk about physical goals. And to give you some insight into what we're going to be talking about over the next 5 or 6 days, there are 7 aspects in life that we set goals for. Like I said, financial and physical, but we've also got personal development, family, spiritual, social, and career goals that we're going to be talking about over the next few days. So let's dive right into the physical aspect of our goals, and then I'll share some of my own personal experiences with regard to the physical goals that I have and what I'm doing in order to achieve them. Again, we're talking about dream, plan, act. We've been dreaming for a long time. I know I have been. This process that we're going through right now, the 2022 Goal Setting Workbook, is the plan. And we're doing this now so that when the new year comes, we don't have to plan. We've already done it, and we've had time to process and make adjustments if necessary, so that when January 1st, 2022 rolls around, we are ready to act. So here we go. Did you know that physical exercise is a cleansing process that can dramatically increase your creativity? I never really thought about physical exercise in that way. And I always looked at it from a health benefit. And, before I just start waxing on my own experiences, which is going to be best for the drive, there's a few questions that are in this workbook that I'm going to share with you right now that I'll touch on at the stop sign and the tracks and revisit during the drive. But the physical questions that we're going to be asking ourselves as we work through this are: do you take long walks, exercise, or meditate regularly? Are you living a balanced life? And is this an area that deserves more time? And can you give yourself 30 minutes to relax? Simple things. And then as we dive into and look at some of the other questions or prompts that we have for our goals about nutrition plans, aerobic health, cardiovascular system, muscle tone, and there's more room as we go on for 1-year goals, where we check in about our weight. And then what we can do today regarding the exercise we get, the amount of sleep that we get, and the reasons why we enjoy vitality, health, and energy. All right? So let me talk about long walks, exercise, and meditation, and my regularity with those things, and if I feel I'm living a balanced life. So long walks, exercise, and meditation, right? This is something that we all know is important, but when we're busy trying to focus on other areas of our life, at least for me, Now I say we because I think a lot of us here are on the same page. But in my own past, when I've gone through and worked on different projects in these other areas of my life, like I said, financial, personal development, family, spiritual, social, and career. But really, it's financial and career are the ones that when I put more energy towards those, generally speaking, my health has been sacrificed. But I never look at it that way because it was never really that bad. You know, I look around and there's always people that are in worse health than me. It could be worse. It's not that bad, right? But you never know how bad your health actually is until you begin to take steps to improve it. So, as far as long walks and exercise and meditation on a regular basis, I'm doing more now than I was doing a year ago. Okay? A year ago, I was doing far less than I was 7, 8, 9 years ago. Back in 2012, 2013, I feel like I was probably at the peak of my, well, I say that I was at the peak of my health, and maybe at that point in my life, I was. I was training for and I ran a marathon. I was very active, skateboarding, longboarding. I wasn't really like a, kick flips, ollies, stuff like that. And I wasn't really good at skating, but it got me active and it was something that I enjoyed. And it was just something that allowed me to stay active. As far as meditation at that time, I was still very much involved in the Tai Chi and Qigong routines, and I was in pretty good shape. However, one of the things that I found myself doing after these long training regimens was just downing pitchers of beer and pizza because, hey, I earned it. I just did a long run. I'm training for a marathon, right? But for all the work that I was doing, these little rewards for myself were really just setbacks. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Story time is fun, but I've got a habit of just telling stories and not addressing the content here. So I am at the tracks, I'm at a stop sign, and the next question before we dive into these prompts about our 3-year goals, our 1-year goals, and our plans for this week and today is another question about living a balanced life. And is this an area that deserves more time? And for me, the answer is no and yes. Am I living a balanced life? No. Is this an area that deserves more time? Yes. So what does a balanced life look like? Quite frankly, I don't know. I've lived my whole life absorbing content and listening to people who live a balanced life, or what in my mind appears to be a balanced life. And as I've done this over time, listening to podcast episode after podcast episode, reading book after book, I've realized that I've fallen into this comparison trap, that everybody else is doing these things. Everybody else is living a balanced life, and I'm failing. But the reality is, it's not so much that I'm failing, it's that I've never really tried. I've never really made a concerted effort to live a balanced life. By falling into that comparison trap and looking at what everyone else is doing, I end up shitting all over myself, falling into analysis paralysis and procrastinating and not really doing much of anything except wringing my hands and wondering what and how I'm going to do all the things that I want to do, when the reality is I get overwhelmed and I don't get overwhelmed, I feel overwhelmed, and I end up doing far less than I think I can. I posted something online. I'm trying to get a little bit more involved on social media, just to, I don't know, if anything, just to get out. When I say involved, I'm just trying to post more content and engage a little bit, but not too much, I posted something yesterday. Let's see if I can remember this specifically. It was just a short line. The potential within yourself, here we go. The potential within you is limited only by your mind. The reason we don't move forward with the goals that we have is that we create these, for whatever reason, the best analogy I can make right now is from the Soundtracks book by Jon Acuff. We've got these old soundtracks in our minds that have been created over the years of life that we've lived. And the problem with that is a lot of these soundtracks aren't necessarily the most positive things that we can be thinking. So the idea and the premise behind the book that Jon Acuff wrote, called Soundtracks, is we replace the old soundtracks with new ones that we create. And it is a very mindful process. And it's a process not unlike that which is outlined here in the 2022 Goal Setting Workbook, which again will be linked to in the show notes. But this process is important. But even more important than the process is the action that we take. Remember how we started off with this whole thing yesterday? And remember what I began today's episode with? Dream, plan, act. Our dreams don't mean much unless we make a plan. The plan doesn't serve us much unless we take time and act. And our actions, quite frankly, don't mean much unless we do them and perform them with consistency. Only then do we achieve the results that we're looking for, the results that we've dreamed of. It's all based on action. No action, no results. No plan, failure. Fail to plan, plan to fail. Right? So, again, one of the things that we read when we start this is a question that's posited to us from Dan Miller. Do you know that physical exercise is a cleansing process that can dramatically increase your creativity? Some of us are making excuses. I know I have, for why we can't do things, why we can't exercise. We need to do this before that. looking back on my own experiences of what I see as making excuses in order to achieve one goal before moving forward in another, it's procrastination and it's fear. So how do you get beyond that? Consistent repatterning and reprogramming of your own mind. Soundtracks is a great way to do it, especially with the way Jon Acuff has talked about the new anthem and the affirmations. But we're not talking about that now. We're talking about physical health. Health, appearance, and exercise. That's what we're looking at in terms of the physical realm. And the prompts in this workbook are excellent. I actually went through the other day and filled this out. Like I said yesterday in episode number 219, this workbook is in the form of an editable PDF where you can type your answers, print it out, and keep it available for easy reference on a regular basis. I definitely recommend checking this out and working through it with us. I've shared this on social media. I've shared the workbook with the Telegram group, t.me/allaroundgrowth, our chat group, and we've got a couple signups. Maybe just one at this point. I just started working through this on Monday. Today's the 4th, and I think Andy signed up for it on Tuesday, maybe yesterday. I don't recall, but I'd love to have you with Andy and I, and anyone else that joins this. It's just a great, I can't speak highly enough about this. I've never done this before, but I feel like 2022 is going to be the best year of my life because of this process. So with that, guys, tomorrow we're going to talk about personal development. And I guess one of the things that I didn't even get into today with my own experiences was what I'm doing right now with functional medicine and why. But I've talked about that in the past, but just to nutshell it, functional medicine is comprised of 4 pillars of health: nutrition, movement, sleep, and stress, with a focus on nutrition and stress. I've done plenty of episodes on functional medicine and talked about that in the past, so check out the show notes. You can see a link to all episodes. Just give it a quick scroll and you'll see some episodes on functional medicine, and that will give you some insight into what I am currently doing with regard to my own physical health. And that's about it, guys. There's also one other thing called tapping that was introduced to me by Yvette Davis, my health coach, or my previous health coach. I will try to remember everything that I've talked about today, link to some tapping links, link to Miss Quill's website if you are looking for a health coach, and just encourage you to check out the show notes for links to everything, links to this workbook, links to the Telegram group, links to how to leave a rating and review in Apple Podcasts at this point in time, even though the world of podcasts is changing again. We're still receiving most of our listeners through Apple Podcasts. So If you happen to be one of them, please take a moment to go into Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and a review. It really helps the algorithms. And right now, like I said, November 2021, that still matters. And as I learn more about how to spread the word, I'll share it with you and encourage you to do so. If you don't want to go through all that ass ache, I get it. Just share the episode on social media, in the show notes, and from the website allaroundgrowth.buzzsprout.com. There are easy ways to do that, to Facebook, Twitter, and simply copy the link or share it on Float, Minds, whatever social media platforms you're on, or just text it to a friend, family member, or loved one. I'm hoping to get this word out there and spread the news about goals, spread the word about what we're doing in our lives, not just me, but you as well. And I really do think that, like yesterday, what we read in the beginning of this workbook, and I firmly believe this, that I'm convinced we can create a massive ripple effect to contribute to the solutions for a better life for ourselves, our families, our country, and ultimately the world. I firmly believe this, and I'm convinced that this is true. And I believe that if you go through this workbook with me and set goals for 2022, that we can do exactly that. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.